Have you ever wondered why some of the strongest people like to be alone? Have you ever met someone who doesn't rush to join a crowd? Someone who finds comfort in silence? What makes them so special? Think about this for a moment. Imagine a man sitting quietly in a park. All around him people are talking, laughing, and running from one thing to another. But this man, he is just sitting, breathing slowly, looking at a single tree. He doesn't seem lonely at all. In fact, he looks strong, calm, and confident. This is the power of being alone. Welcome to Wisdom Woven. Here we talk about lessons that can help you live a better and calmer life. If you like this video, please click the like button, leave a comment, share with a friend, and subscribe to our channel. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. It takes just a second, but it means a lot to us. Why do the strongest people prefer to be alone? It is not because they hate others. It is not because they are shy or afraid. It is because they understand themselves. They use the silence to listen to their own heart and mind. In this silence, strength is born. In a world where everyone is busy talking, making noise, and trying to get noticed, these strong people find a different path. They walk quietly, they watch, and they learn. They're like deep lakes. The surface might be calm, but deep down, there's a world of strength and peace. The Buddha said, "Better is a single moment of quiet understanding than 100 years of meaningless noise." This is why strong people seek moments of silence. In silence, they can understand themselves and others. In silence, they can let go of anger, greed, and confusion. In silence, they find strength that lasts forever. In this video series, we will explore why strong people walk the path of aloneness and how this can change your life too. Stay with us, and you will learn how to stand strong in a noisy world. The seeds of inner strength. The Zen master spoke quietly, looking at the tall trees that swayed in the morning wind. He watched how the trees stood strong, rooted deeply in the earth. He said that strong people, like those trees, have deep roots inside themselves. These roots are called the seeds of inner strength. They're not found in noise, not found in rushing around, not found in trying to win the attention of the world. They are found in silence. They're found when a person spends time being with themselves. He said that in this world, many people try to fill their lives with sound and movement. They run from one thing to another. They have friends all around, phones always ringing, messages always coming. But in all this noise, where can strength grow? The Zen master said that strength grows like a seed buried deep in the soil. The seed needs darkness, quiet, and stillness. Only then can it open. Only then can it rise towards the light. He spoke of a young boy he had met long ago. The boy was shy and liked to walk alone. The other children called him strange. They said he had no friends. But the boy did not listen. Every morning, he would walk by the river, watch the water move, and listen to the sound of the wind. He would watch the tiny fish swimming, watch the mist rise from the surface. The boy was planting seeds inside himself. Seeds of strength, seeds of understanding, seeds of a quiet happiness that no one could take from him. The Zen master said that many years later, this boy became a man. He grew strong, not strong in a way of fighting or shouting, but strong like an old tree, strong like a mountain, strong like a person who knows himself. This strength came from moments when he was alone, not moments of loneliness, but moments of knowing himself deeply. The master said this is why strong people often walk a quiet path. They understand that strength is not found in a crowd. The crowd can make a person forget himself. The crowd can make a person chase things that have no value. The crowd can make a person afraid to walk his own path. But a strong person knows this. He knows that a quiet heart can guide him more clearly than 100 voices around him. He spoke of the Buddha, who left a kingdom of riches to walk alone in the forest. The Buddha left a life of noise to find a heart of silence. Under the shade of a tree, surrounded by silence, he discovered the deepest truths of life. The Zen master said, "This is the lesson for all who seek strength. You must be brave enough to walk alone. You must be patient enough to sit with your own thoughts. You must be wise enough to accept the sound of silence. He said that in silence, a person can feel things that words can never tell. In silence, a person can hear the voice of the heart. In silence, a person can understand what is truly important. The Zen master spoke slowly, reminding those who listen that silence is not emptiness. Silence is a space where life can grow. Silence is like a garden where the seeds of strength are planted and tended. He talked about how many people fear silence. They run from it. They fill every moment with sound, every space with activity. But this running only makes the heart tired. This noise only makes the mind forget itself. The Zen master said that strong people have learned to stop running. They have learned to stand still, to breathe, to watch. In standing still, in breathing, in watching, strength finds its way to them. He spoke of a bird that lived high in the mountains. The bird built its nest far from the noise of the valleys. The bird flew alone, watched the world from above, and sang its song when it felt the warmth of the morning sun. The bird was strong because it was connected to itself. It knew where to find food, where to find rest, where to find safety. It needed no one to tell it. The bird was strong because it lived in silence and trusted its own heart. The Zen master said, this is how strong people live. They listen to the sound of the wind. They watch the changes of the seasons. They notice the quiet beauty that others miss. In doing this, they learn to trust themselves. They understand that no one can walk their path for them. They accept that strength is built step by step, thought by thought, breath by breath. He spoke of a man he once met who was called a warrior. The man had fought many battles, carried many scars. Yet when he spoke softly. He said little, but every word was like a stone placed in a strong wall. The warrior had learned that true strength is not in how many victories one has, but in how well one knows himself. This knowing came from moments when he was alone. Not moments of anger or fear, but moments of deep quiet, moments when he felt the beating of his own heart. The Zen master said that every person can walk this path. Every person can plant seeds of strength inside themselves. But first, one must be willing to stop, to slow down, to step away from noise and confusion, to listen, not to the world, but to the voice within. At first, this voice may be soft, like a whisper, but if you listen long enough, it will grow strong. It will guide you. It will carry you through moments when others falter. He spoke of a young woman he met once in a busy city. She was tired, always rushing, always trying to please others. But one day, she chose to walk alone by the sea. The sound of the waves spoke to her heart. The wind carried away her worries. The sun gave warmth to her tired body. In that moment, she felt herself again, not as the person others wanted her to be, but as the person she truly was. The Zen master said this was the moment when her strength was born. He said that strength is like a flame. It can be small, it can be shy, it can be hidden deep inside. But when it is tended with silence, with patience, with kindness to oneself, it grows. It becomes a light that guides one's path. It shines in moments of doubt. It shines in moments of fear. It shines when others try to pull one down. The Zen master said that strong people do not fear silence. They walk into it like a traveler entering a sacred temple. They walk quietly, knowing that this silence is where strength is found. He spoke of a man who came to him long ago, asking for help. The man felt lost. He felt broken. The Zen master gave him no words, no instructions. He gave him a quiet space to sit, a warm cup of tea, and a place to watch the falling leaves. The man stayed for many days. At first, he felt anger and pain rising within. But as the days passed, the silence embraced him. The sound of the wind, the smell of the earth, the warmth of the tea began to seep into him. Slowly, the man felt the seed of strength take root within his heart. The Zen master said that strong people are like this. They have learned to find strength in moments when others can only find noise. They have learned to rest when the world pushes them to run. They have learned to listen when the world demands that they speak. In this quiet, strength grows. In this silence, a person finds themselves. He spoke to those who felt afraid of being alone. He said that being alone is not a curse. It is a gift. It is a chance to walk with yourself, to make friends with your own heart, to find strength that no one can give and no one can take away. The Zen master said that those who walk alone are not lost. They are finding themselves. They are planting seeds that will one day grow into tall, strong trees. Trees that can weather any storm. And so he left those who listened with a soft smile and a long silence. In that silence, the seeds of strength were shared, not through words, but through the space between words. Not through sound, but through the quiet beating of the heart. The Zen master said this is how strong people are made. Not by fighting the world, not by chasing applause, not by fearing silence, but by accepting it, by knowing it, by loving it. In silence, strength finds its voice. In silence, a person finds themselves. In silence, the seed becomes a tree. In silence, strength is born. The path to true understanding. Have you ever watched a quiet river? Its surface looks so calm, so still, but deep down it holds a quiet strength. The river knows its path. It knows how to move, where to turn, when to rest. This is how the strong walk the path of understanding. They don't rush. They don't shout. They don't try to prove themselves to anyone. They just walk quietly, step by step, knowing themselves more and more every day. The Zen master once said, "To understand the world, first understand yourself." The strong walk this path every moment. They watch their thoughts rise and fall. They watch their feelings come and go. They notice the anger that appears like a storm. They notice the greed that tries to cling like a shadow. They notice the moments of fear, moments of doubt. But they don't run from these moments. They watch, and in watching they understand. Why? Because when you watch yourself closely, you start to understand the nature of the mind. You begin to see that thoughts and feelings are like the wind. Sometimes the wind is strong, and sometimes it is soft. Sometimes it brings warmth, and sometimes it brings cold. But the strong person knows the wind will always change. It will never stay the same forever. So why run after one thought? Why fear another? The strong person chooses to stay still and watch. Have you ever felt a moment where your thoughts were too many, too fast, too heavy? The strong person knows this feeling well. They have felt it too, but they have learned one very simple truth. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You're the one who can watch them quietly from a distance, like watching a river flow. This is the path to understanding. Each step on this path takes patience. The strong person doesn't rush to understand life in one moment. They walk slowly. They listen. They ask questions within themselves. They ask, why am I feeling this? Why am I thinking this? And in that quiet space, the answers come, like soft raindrops falling from the sky. Not as noise, but as whispers from deep within. A strong person doesn't fear silence. Silence is their best teacher. In silence, when no one is talking, when no sound is filling the air, a strong person finds the voice that has been hidden deep inside for too long. It is the voice of wisdom, the voice that can tell right from wrong, the voice that can guide when the world tries to confuse. Have you noticed how many people are afraid of being alone? Afraid of silence? Afraid of hearing their own thoughts? The strong person knows why this fear appears. The strong person understands that this fear is like a shadow. You can run from it, you can hide from it, but as long as you run, the shadow will follow. So the strong person chooses to stand still, to look the shadow in the eyes, to understand it, to ask, why are you here? And when this happens, the shadow starts to lose its power. The shadow becomes smaller. The strong person finds strength in understanding that even fear has a reason for being. To understand the path of life, you must walk it quietly. You must walk it slowly. The strong person knows this very well. They don't try to win every race. They don't try to climb every mountain. They walk one step, then another. They feel the earth under their feet. They notice the air on their skin. They notice how each breath moves through their body. In this noticing, in this awareness, they find understanding. Have you ever stopped to watch a candle flame? The flame doesn't rush. It doesn't race. It doesn't try to be brighter than the sun. It just shines quietly in its own space. The strong person is like this flame. They understand that strength doesn't come from noise. It doesn't come from force. True strength comes from being rooted in understanding. It shines from within. The strong person knows that every person carries a story. Every person has pain. Every person has a struggle. So, when the strong person looks at another human being, they don't judge. They don't compare. They don't say, "I'm better" or "I am worse." They only watch, quietly. They listen. They understand that every person, like every wave in the ocean, has a reason for rising and falling. This understanding makes the strong person soft, and soft doesn't mean weak. The soft person can bend like bamboo when the wind is strong, and that is why they survive when others break. Have you ever felt the weight of anger? The strong person feels it too, but they don't carry it for long. They watch it rise, and they watch it fall. They ask, "Why am I holding this anger?" They listen to the answer. Sometimes it is because of pain. Sometimes it is because of pride. Sometimes it is because of fear. By understanding where the anger came from, the strong person can let it go, not by force, but by knowing it fully. The path to understanding is not a path for those in a rush. It is a path for those who can walk slowly, quietly, patiently. The strong person knows that wisdom doesn't come from the noise of the world. It doesn't come from trying to be right. It doesn't come from chasing after things. It comes from being still. It comes from knowing that every thought, every emotion, every moment is a teacher. Have you watched how the seasons change? The strong person understands life like the seasons. Sometimes it is summer, warm and bright. Sometimes it is winter, cold and quiet. Sometimes it is spring, full of new beginnings. Sometimes it is autumn, when old things fall away. The strong person doesn't cling to summer. They don't fear winter. They walk with the seasons, knowing that life itself is change, and change is the only thing that is certain. The strong person knows that to walk the path of understanding, one must first accept themselves. Not some future version, not some imagined ideal, but exactly as they are. This is where strength begins, in accepting the present moment, in accepting who you are, how you feel, and where you stand. The strong person doesn't pretend to be stronger than they are. They don't pretend to be smarter. They don't pretend at all. They walk honestly, openly, knowing that in truth there is strength. Have you noticed how strong trees have deep roots? The strong person is like a strong tree. Their roots run deep into understanding. They take time to nurture their thoughts, to water their heart with compassion. They don't fear the wind because they have learned how to bend. They don't fear the storm because their roots can hold them still. This is why the strong person chooses the path of understanding. Not because it is easy, but because it is true. Each moment is a chance for understanding. The strong person knows this. They walk every moment knowing that life is teaching them. The sound of a bird, the silence of a night, the voice of a friend, the cry of a stranger. All of these are moments of understanding. The strong person doesn't walk blindly. They walk awake. Have you ever felt lost? The strong person feels lost too. But instead of running, they stop. They listen. They ask themselves, "What am I looking for?" They ask themselves, "What am I running from?" In those moments of stillness, understanding grows like a small flame in the dark. It grows brighter, warmer, until it becomes a light that can guide their way. The strong person doesn't walk the path of understanding to impress others. They walk it because it brings peace. They walk it because it makes them whole. They walk it because it allows them to live fully, to love deeply, and to accept openly. This is the strength that no one can take from them. This is the strength that shines even when the world is dark. Have you noticed how a quiet person can walk into a room and somehow the space feels calmer? The strong person knows that silence has a voice. It can soothe the heart. It can guide a thought. It can help a person understand the world more clearly. The strong person doesn't fill every space with words. They fill spaces with presence. And presence is the deepest form of understanding. Each step the strong person takes is a lesson. Each breath is a teacher. Each thought is an opportunity to understand more. The strong person knows this, and so they walk gently. They walk knowing that every moment has a gift. Every person has a lesson. Every emotion has a message. Have you ever watched the stars at night? The strong person can watch the stars for hours because in their quiet light, the strong person finds understanding. The stars don't shout. They don't try to outshine one another. They simply are, and in their being, they guide countless travelers. This is the path of understanding. To simply be, to simply walk, to simply live, and in that simple living, to understand deeply. The strong person doesn't seek understanding for themselves alone. They walk this path because it allows them to understand others too. To have compassion when someone is hurting. To have patience when someone is lost. To have strength when someone is falling. This is why the strong person chooses silence, chooses reflection, chooses understanding. Not as a shield from the world, but as a bridge towards it. Have you felt how a quiet moment can carry more meaning than 1,000 words? The strong person knows this. They don't fill the silence. They inhabit it. They rest within it. They allow understanding to arise from it. The strong person knows that every heart has a voice. Sometimes it can be heard best in silence. The path of understanding is not a path for the fearful. It is a path for those who are brave enough to listen, brave enough to feel, brave enough to accept. The strong person doesn't walk this path because it is popular. They walk it because it is true. They walk it because it is right. They walk it because it allows them to live as themselves fully and openly with a heart that understands. In the end, the strong person knows this. All strength comes from knowing oneself. All understanding grows from accepting oneself. All peace is born from being present. The strong person chooses to walk this path every day, every moment, every breath, knowing that this path leads to the heart of life itself. The quiet mind and its gifts. A Zen master once said, "The quiet mind is like a still lake. It can reflect the beauty of the stars." What does this mean? It means when the mind is quiet, it can show the world clearly. A strong person knows this. They understand that the biggest strength is not found in a busy or noisy place. It is found deep within where silence rests. Have you ever felt a moment of deep silence? Maybe early in the morning when no one is awake, or late at night when the world has gone to sleep. In those moments, the air feels soft, the heart feels light, the thoughts slow down. This is when the mind finds its quiet space. And this quiet space is a gift. Strong people like silence because it allows them to listen, not to others first, but to themselves. In the noise of everyday life, it is easy to forget who we are. We forget what we really want, what we really feel. But in silence, the voice inside becomes clear. The heart can whisper its secrets. The mind can rest. The Buddha taught that a quiet mind is a strong mind. He said that when the waves of thoughts settle down, a person can truly understand the nature of life. The strong person is not afraid to be quiet because they know that silence is a teacher. They can learn from it. They can grow from it. In silence, anger disappears. In silence, worry finds its end. In silence, the strong person finds a place where happiness can arise. This happiness is not the happiness of getting things or gaining victories. It is the happiness of being at peace. A strong person knows this. They understand that the quiet mind is a treasure worth more than gold. Have you ever tried to sit quietly for a while? At first, it can be hard. The mind will race. Thoughts will run like monkeys from branch to branch. You will remember things you have to do. You will wonder if you can be still. This is natural, but with practice, the mind becomes calmer. The thoughts slow down. The heart beats slower. The breath becomes soft. This is when silence begins to teach. A strong person knows how to be patient with silence. They understand that silence is not an enemy. It is a guide. It is like a soft wind that cleans the dust from the heart. In silence, old wounds can heal. In silence, old fears can melt away. In silence, new strength can grow. The strong person also knows that silence makes words more powerful. When the mind is quiet, words come from a place of truth. They are not sharp or hurtful. They are gentle and strong. The strong person speaks less, but when they do, their words have weight. Their words can uplift others. Their words can point to the right path. A strong person finds that silence is a deep well of understanding. They can watch their thoughts come and go, like leaves floating down a stream. They can watch their feelings rise and fall, like waves upon the shore. In this watching, a quiet strength is born. This strength is rooted in knowing the nature of things. It is rooted in knowing that thoughts and feelings are like visitors. They come, and then they go. The strong person knows that a quiet mind can carry them through the hardest times. When pain arrives, when loss arrives, when doubt arrives, a quiet mind can hold all of these things. The strong person can watch pain with soft eyes. They can watch loss with a brave heart. They can watch doubt with a patient breath. This is the gift of silence. This is the gift of a quiet mind. Have you noticed how strong people walk? They walk slowly. They walk with awareness. They walk as if every step has a purpose. This is because their mind is quiet. Their body and heart can move together. They do not rush because they have nowhere to run. They walk in the moment, knowing the moment is enough. The strong person knows that a quiet mind is like a lamp in the dark. It shines a light that can guide them when things are unclear. In silence, questions find their answers. In silence, the strong person can see the world as it is, not as it appears. This clarity is strength. This clarity is peace. Have you ever watched a strong person when trouble arrives? They do not raise their voice. They do not wave their hands. They do not try to win with force. They listen. They wait. They breathe. And when they speak, their words carry strength. Not because they are loud, but because they come from silence. This is the strength of a quiet mind. The strong person knows that silence is a way of caring for themselves. In silence, the heart rests. In silence, the body finds its rhythm. In silence, the strong person finds themselves. This is why they seek moments to be alone, not to run from others, but to return to themselves. The strong person knows that silence is a teacher that never grows tired. They can learn from the sound of the wind, from the stillness of the stars, from the whisper of a tree. The strong person can find wisdom in silence because they approach it with an open heart. They do not fear silence. They walk towards it. They open the door, and silence welcomes them like an old friend. Have you tried this? Have you tried to listen to the sound of silence? At first, it can seem empty, but stay longer, and you will hear a soft hum. Stay longer, and you will feel a quiet warmth. Stay longer, and you'll understand that silence is never truly empty. It is filled with peace. It is filled with strength. It is filled with a knowing that needs no words. The strong person knows that this silence is always available. It is like a well that can be drawn from any moment. In a crowded room, in a busy street, in the middle of a storm, silence can be found within. The strong person knows this. They carry silence in their heart, like a flame that cannot be extinguished. The strong person knows that silence is the best teacher when making choices. In silence, the right path shines clearly. In silence, fear and doubt lose their voice. In silence, the heart can whisper its truth, and the strong person can listen. This is why strong people seek silence. Not because they have nothing to say, but because silence gives weight to their words. Not because they fear the world, but because silence gives strength to their heart. Not because they reject others, but because silence allows them to love others more deeply. The strong person knows that silence is where wisdom is born. The strong person knows that silence is where strength is built. The strong person knows that silence is where peace is found. And this is why the strong person walks quietly, rests deeply, and lives fully. In silence, they have found the greatest gift of all, themselves. Letting go of social clutter. Have you ever felt tired after a long conversation? Or felt drained after being with too many people? This is because too much social clutter can make the heart and mind heavy. The strongest people understand this very well. They walk a path that is quiet, a path that gives space to their heart. They have learned to let go of too much talking, too many connections, and too much noise. The Zen master says, a strong person knows when to speak and when to stay quiet. A strong person knows when to walk with others and when to walk alone. Letting go of social clutter is not about ignoring people. It is about making space for what truly matters. Imagine you have a room in your house. In that room, you keep many things. Old clothes, old books, broken toys, things you no longer need. You try to walk across the room, but you stumble and fall. You try to find a space to rest, but you cannot. The room is too full. In the same way, when your heart and mind are too full of conversations, noise, and useless connections, you stumble inside. You have no space to rest. The strongest people understand this. They have learned to clean their room within. They have learned to walk away from conversations that waste their energy. They have learned to leave spaces where too much gossip or too many voices live. They walk to quiet places where they can listen to their breath, to the sound of the wind, or to the beating of their own heart. This doesn't mean that strong people hate others. No, it means that they respect their own energy. They respect their own space. They respect the quiet voice that lives deep within them. The Buddha said, "Better to walk alone than walk with a fool." This doesn't mean we must always walk alone. It means we must be wise about where we walk and with whom we walk. A strong person knows that every word has a weight. They understand that every conversation can either give life or take it away. So they choose silence when silence is needed. They save their words for moments that matter. They speak to uplift, to help, or to guide. But when words only create confusion or noise, they remain quiet. Have you noticed how a calm person can walk into a room and change its energy? Not by shouting, not by talking too much, but by simply being present, calm, strong, at peace. This is the strength that comes from letting go of social clutter. The strongest people also understand the beauty of saying no when it is needed. Saying no to an invitation that doesn't feel right. Saying no to a conversation that only leads to anger. Saying no to a space that takes more than it gives. This no is not a rejection of others. It is a yes to themselves. The Zen master reminds us that life is too short for noise that doesn't feed the heart. Too short for connections that don't teach, that don't uplift, that don't help. Too short for words that don't matter. So, the strong person chooses quiet. Not because they don't have words, but because they understand the value of silence. Have you ever watched a tall tree? Its roots run deep. Its branches rise high. But it doesn't spend its life swaying with every wind. It knows its place. It knows its strength. It doesn't try to be like every other tree. It doesn't try to fill every space. It just stands quietly, growing, knowing itself. The strongest people are like that tall tree. They stand quietly in the noise of the world. They watch. They listen. They speak only when it is needed. A strong person knows that too many conversations can tire the heart. Too many connections can confuse the mind. Too many distractions can make the path unclear. So they walk slowly. They walk with a few friends or no friends. They walk with the sound of their own breath as their guide. The Buddha said, "A wise person knows when to walk away from things that no longer serve the heart." The strong person knows this too. They walk away from conversations that only create anger. They walk away from spaces that only create doubt. They walk towards silence, towards clarity, towards peace. Have you ever felt how a quiet room can heal you? When you walk away from the noise, you can finally listen to the voice within. The voice that guides. The voice that knows. The voice that reminds you of who you really are. The strong person finds this voice every time they walk away from clutter. This is why the strong person chooses quality over quantity. They don't try to have many friends. They don't try to impress many people. They don't try to win every conversation. They only walk with those who walk with an open heart. They only speak when words can make a difference. They only stay when their presence can create peace. A strong person knows that every moment spent in noise is a moment lost for the heart. So, they save their moments. They save their breath. They save their words. They save their strength. Not out of greed, not out of pride, but out of understanding. An understanding that life is short. An understanding that every moment can be a step towards peace. Have you ever felt how quiet the stars are? They don't shout. They don't rush. They don't try to outshine each other. They simply stay. They simply glow. In the same way, A strong person shines quietly. They don't seek applause. They don't seek attention. They don't seek noise. They just are. The Zen master says, a strong person knows that silence is a teacher. A strong person knows that being alone is a chance to grow. The strongest people walk in silence because it gives them strength. The strongest people walk away from noise because it gives them clarity. The strongest people walk towards quiet spaces because it gives them wisdom. If you can walk away from noise, you can walk towards yourself. If you can walk towards yourself, you can walk towards strength. If you can walk towards strength, you can walk towards peace. Remember this always. The strength you seek is not in the crowd. It is in the quiet space within you. The strong person finds that space every time they walk away from noise. The strong person finds that space every time they walk toward silence. The strong person finds that space every time they walk towards themselves. So walk gently, speak softly, listen deeply, let go of social clutter, let go of too many conversations, let go of too many connections, let go of too much noise. And in that letting go, you will find strength. In that silence, you will find peace. In that space, you will find yourself. This is the path the strong person chooses. Not because it is easy, not because it is popular, not because it is loud, but because it is true, because it is quiet, because it is strong. Trust this path. It will guide you home. It will guide you to the strength that lives within. It will guide you to the peace that has always been yours. Let go. Stay quiet. Stay strong. Stay true. Stay you. The courage to stand alone. Listen, my friend. Sit quietly and take a deep breath. Today I will tell you why it takes great courage to stand alone. Not when everyone is cheering for you. Not when life is easy, but when the world doesn't understand you. When friends walk away. When you have only yourself. This is when true strength is born. Have you ever felt like you don't fit in? Like the world is going one way, but your heart is telling you to walk another path? Maybe you felt scared. Maybe you felt lost. It is in those moments that you have a chance to become strong. Not the strength of a fighter swinging fists, but the strength of a quiet tree growing tall in a forest. The strength of a mountain that doesn't move when the wind and rain come. This is the strength of standing alone. In this world, most people try to fit in. They try to be like everyone else, thinking this will make them safe. But when you try to be like others, you forget who you really are. The strongest people, the wisest people, are those who have the courage to walk their own path. Not because it's easy, not because it's popular, but because it's true. A long ago Zen teacher said, "The bird that flies alone knows the strength of its own wings." The bird that stays in a flock never finds out how high it can fly. People are like that too. If you only walk where others walk, you can only go where others have gone. But when you walk alone, you can find places no one has seen before. You can find strength no one has felt before. It can be scary to stand alone. The world will ask questions. Why are you not with the crowd? Why are you so quiet? Why don't you try harder to fit in? These questions can sting like sharp thorns. But remember, the rose that blooms alone is still a rose. The mountain that stands apart from other mountains is still strong, still beautiful. The tree that grows alone can stretch its branches wider because it has space and light. Strong people understand this. They accept that being alone doesn't mean being lonely. Being alone means being connected with themselves. It means finding their center, finding their balance. This is where the strength of silence is born. Imagine a strong person, not a person with a loud voice or many friends. Imagine a person who can sit quietly, hands resting, eyes soft. This person doesn't rush to fill silence with words. This person doesn't rush to find company just to forget themselves. This person is like a lake at dawn, calm, deep, and beautiful. This person can stand in the storm, can walk through darkness, can wait for the sun to rise. This person has learned the secret of being alone. In the old times, monks would walk deep into the forest or climb high mountains. Not because they hated the world, but because they wanted to find themselves. They left the noise of the markets and the cries of greed and anger behind. They walked until the sound of their own breath was the only sound. And in that quiet, in that aloneness, They found a strength that the world could never take away. The strongest person knows that every moment with themselves is a chance to learn, to watch their thoughts, to understand their feelings, to make friends with their fears, to say to themselves, I am here, I am enough. Even if no one understands, I understand myself. This is true strength, not strength that depends on others, but strength that shines from within. Have you noticed how a flame shines brighter when it is sheltered from the wind? In the same way, a person shines brighter when they have a quiet space to grow. The world can be a storm. The world can be a whirlwind of sound and light. But when you stand alone, when you walk quietly, you build a flame inside yourself that no wind can blow out. The strong person doesn't run from being misunderstood. They accept it. They accept that some people will walk away. They accept that some moments will feel cold and empty. But in those moments, a miracle happens. They meet themselves. They listen to the voice inside that is buried under noise. They remember who they truly are, not who the world says they must be, not the person others want them to be, but the person they came here to be. Standing alone doesn't mean standing against others. It means standing for yourself. It means planting your feet deep into the earth and saying, this is my place. This is my truth. I will stand tall, no matter who comes or goes. This is how strong trees grow. Not because someone holds them up, but because their roots have learned to hold the earth. The strongest people don't hate others. They don't walk away from kindness or belonging. They simply understand that no one can walk every step with them. They accept that every person has a path, and sometimes those paths move apart. This is not a tragedy. This is life. The strong person can wave as friends walk down a different trail and can smile as they walk their own. To walk alone means to walk with trust. Trust that every step you take will teach you something. Trust that every silence you accept will make your heart stronger. Trust that every moment of aloneness will open a space for a deeper understanding. The strong person knows this. The strong person embraces this. Have you ever watched the stars? In the quiet of the night, each star shines in its place. The stars do not huddle together. They stand apart, making the whole sky beautiful. The strong person is like that star. They don't fear distance. They don't fear quiet. They don't fear the space that separates them from others. They understand that this space is where their light can grow. The strong person is patient. They don't rush to fill every moment. They don't rush to win every race. They understand that strength takes time to grow. An oak doesn't rise in a day. A mountain doesn't form in an afternoon. Strength is built slowly, in moments of silence, in moments of being alone, in moments when the heart whispers truths that no one else can hear. The strong person knows that no one can walk for them. They must walk themselves. They must carry themselves across valleys of doubt, across mountains of fear, across rivers of change. This is why strong people accept being alone. Not because it is easy, but because it is worth it. A strong person knows how to say, I am enough. They don't wait for the world to tell them who they are. They don't wait for applause or agreement. They listen inward. They walk inward. They find strength that doesn't need a witness. Remember, the lion hunts alone. The eagle flies alone. The oak stands alone. The strongest don't fear the quiet spaces. They accept them. They rest in them. They grow in them. They find themselves in them. If you can stand in silence and feel at peace, you have found a strength the world can never take from you. This is the path of the strong. This is the path of the wise. This is the path of those who walk alone and yet carry the strength of 1,000 moments within their heart. So, if you ever find yourself standing alone, do not be afraid. Do not think it is a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. It is a sign that you have the courage to listen to your own voice, to walk your own path, to trust your own heart. In that quiet space where no one else can walk, you will find a light that shines brighter than any other. You will find a strength that can carry you across any storm. You will find a peace that no crowd can give you. Stand tall, walk quietly, and trust that being alone is not being lost. It is coming home to yourself. It is planting deep roots so your branches can rise high. It is finding a strength that will stay with you. no matter where the path leads. This is why the strong choose to walk alone, not because they have no friends, not because they have no heart, but because they have learned that true strength, true wisdom, and true peace can only be found when you have the courage to walk with yourself, to stand with yourself, to live as yourself. In that space of aloneness, the strong person finds everything they need, everything they have been looking for, everything that truly lasts. Seeking depth over distraction. There's a deep truth hidden in our everyday life. We live in a world full of noise, noise of thoughts, noise of people, noise of endless activities. This noise pulls us in many directions. It fills our minds with distractions. It makes our hearts restless. But the strongest people know something very simple yet powerful. They choose depth over distraction. Imagine a pond on a windy day. The surface is covered with waves, small ripples going everywhere. If you look only at the surface, it seems chaotic and wild. But if you look deeper, below the waves, the water is still, is calm and clear. The bottom is steady and quiet. This pond is like the mind of a strong person. The surface can be busy, but deep inside, there is peace and strength. Why do so many people choose distraction? Because distraction is easy. When your mind is busy watching many things, it forgets to ask deep questions. It runs away from sadness, fear, and pain. It chases after things that are empty and do not bring real happiness. This is like a child running after a butterfly that always flies away. The child never catches it, but the chase feels exciting for a while. Strong people do not run after these butterflies. They turn their attention inward. They ask themselves, what really matters? What is true and lasting? What will bring peace to my heart? These questions may not have easy answers. Sometimes they feel like a deep well, dark and unknown. But strong people are not afraid of the well. They are not afraid of silence or loneliness. They dive deep inside. In Buddhism, this is the path of insight. The Buddha taught that true happiness is not found outside, in things or people, but inside. It is found when we look deeply into our own mind and heart. When we see clearly who we are, without lies or confusion, we find freedom. This freedom is the greatest strength. Distraction makes the mind weak because it is always moving, jumping from one thing to another. It never rests. It cannot understand itself. But when a mind learns to focus deeply, it becomes like a sharp sword. It cuts through confusion, anger, and fear. It becomes strong and clear. Many people are afraid of being alone with their thoughts. They fear what they might find inside. Maybe sadness, maybe guilt, maybe loneliness. But strong people know that facing these feelings is like cleaning a room that has been dusty for a long time. It is not easy, but after cleaning, the room is bright and fresh. Depth means accepting all parts of yourself, even the parts that are difficult to see. It means being honest with your fears and pains. It means not running away, but sitting quietly and watching. This watching is like the light of the sun. It does not fight the darkness. It simply shines, and the darkness disappears on its own. When you seek depth over distraction, your life changes slowly but surely. You start to understand your habits and thoughts. You see how desires and anger arise and pass away. You learn to let go of things that do not serve you. This letting go is not a loss, but a gain. It is the gaining of true peace. Strong people who choose depth become like mountains. The wind may blow hard and storms may come, but they remain steady. They do not shake like leaves. Their roots go deep into the earth. This strength is not loud or aggressive. It is quiet and firm. This is why the strongest people prefer to be alone sometimes. They need space to dive deep. They need time to understand themselves without noise and distraction. In this quiet space, they find a wisdom to live well. Sometimes people ask, isn't being alone lonely? The answer is no. Loneliness is when you feel empty and disconnected. But being alone with yourself, deeply and honestly, is not loneliness. It is meeting your true friend, your own heart. The Buddha said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. When the mind is full of distractions, it becomes weak and restless. When the mind seeks depth, it becomes strong and peaceful. This is why strong people do not fear silence. They welcome it. Silence is like a teacher. It shows you what is inside. It helps you see clearly. When you learn to love silence, you begin to love yourself. In our busy world, this teaching is very important. We must learn to slow down. We must learn to listen to the quiet voice inside. It speaks of truth, love, and peace. You may try this now. Seek quiet. Close your eyes. Watch your breath. Notice your thoughts coming and going like clouds in the sky. Do not hold them. Do not push them away. Just watch. At first, the mind will be busy. It will want to run away. It will tell you to check your phone, talk to someone, or do something. This is normal, but keep watching. Keep coming back to your breath. Slowly, you will see the noise in your mind begin to calm. You will feel a small space open inside, a space of peace and stillness. This space is your true strength. From this space, you can face any problem. You can live with kindness, patience, and courage. You do not need to prove yourself to others. You do not need to hide your true feelings. You are enough, just as you are. Strong people live from this place of depth. They are not afraid to be different. They do not follow the crowd blindly. They follow their own path, a path of truth and peace. This does not mean they're lonely or sad. On the contrary, they're full of life. Their life is like a calm river that flows gently but powerfully. They know that happiness comes not from outside things, but from inside. When distractions come, as they always do, strong people remember their inner depth. They remember their quiet place. They return to it like a bird returns to its nest. You too can find this depth. It is inside you now, waiting. You only need to stop running and look. The journey is simple, but not always easy. It takes patience and kindness toward yourself. Remember, the strongest people are not those who shout the loudest or have the most followers. They are those who know themselves deeply. They are those who choose silence and stillness over noise and chaos. So, if you feel lost or tired in this noisy world, try this. Choose depth over distraction. Seek quiet. Breathe. Watch your mind. Meet yourself with love and courage. You will find a friend there, a friend who will never leave you. This friend is your true strength. This friend is your peace. The wisdom of silence. Listen closely, my dear one. Do you know what silence truly means? Do you understand why silence is called a great teacher? Let us walk together down this quiet path and understand why the strongest people always respect silence. The world is very noisy. Everywhere you go, you can hear people talking, shouting, arguing, or trying to make themselves heard. Everywhere you look, there are screens flashing, songs playing, and cars rushing by. This noise can make a person forget themselves. It can make a person lose their center. The strong ones, the wise ones, understand this. They have learned that silence is not an enemy. It is a friend. Have you ever sat by a lake? Have you watched how the water rests when the wind is still? The surface becomes like a mirror. In that mirror, the world becomes clear. The strong person is like that lake. In silence, their heart rests. In silence, their thoughts settle. In silence, the world becomes clear. The Buddha once said, "Better than 1,000 words is one quiet moment that brings peace." This is why strong people often walk away from noise. They walk toward silence. They walk toward understanding. It is not because they hate people or fear the world. It is because in silence, truth shines brighter. In silence, you can listen, not to the sound of others, but to the sound of your own breath. Not to the sound of anger or greed, but to the sound of peace and kindness. Not to the sound of doubt, but to the sound of trust. The strong person knows that silence is the key to hearing this voice. The voice that guides. The voice that calms. Imagine this. A strong person goes to a forest. The trees stand tall and quiet. The wind whispers among the leaves. The strong person doesn't rush. They walk slowly. They notice the sound of their own steps. They notice the sound of their breath. They notice how the silence of the forest enters their heart. In this silence, strength grows. Not a strength that can be measured by muscles, but a strength that can be felt by the heart. Have you ever tried to solve a problem when your mind is noisy? It feels like trying to find a tiny pearl in a stormy sea. The strong person knows this. So, when problems arise, they step back. They close their eyes. They find a quiet space within themselves. They listen to the silence. And in that silence, answers arise. Not because silence gives them words, but because silence gives them clarity. A strong person knows that silence is not empty. It is full. It is full of space to think, space to feel, space to heal. The world teaches you to fill every moment with sound. The strong person chooses to fill some moments with silence. It is in this silence that their strength is born. Have you noticed how some people can stay calm even when the world around them is burning? They can stand still when others run. They can speak quietly when others shout. This is the gift of silence. It allows them to stay rooted like a deep, old tree. The wind can howl, the rain can crash, but the tree does not break. Its roots go deep into the silence of the earth. A strong person knows that silence is a teacher. It teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches understanding. In silence, the strong person can watch their thoughts come and go, like leaves falling from a tree. They do not try to hold on to every thought. They do not try to push every thought away. They simply watch. In this watching, in this silence, strength grows. In silence, a strong person can also listen to the world, not with ears that wait for sound, but with a heart that feels. In silence, you can sense the pain of others. You can understand the needs of the world. You can feel connections that words can never describe. The strong person knows this. They seek silence because silence connects. Think of a night when the stars fill the sky. There is no noise, no ruse, just the quiet beauty of the universe. The strong person finds strength in moments like this, not because silence gives them power over others, but because silence gives them power over themselves. Have you ever been with someone who speaks very little, but when they do, their words carry great weight? That is the gift of silence. The strong person chooses words like a gardener chooses seeds. They do not scatter words wildly. They plant them with care. And those words, rooted in silence, grow into wisdom. The strong person knows when to walk away from noise. Not out of pride, but out of wisdom. Not because noise is bad, but because silence is better. In silence, the strong person finds space to remember who they are, why they are here, and where they must go. In silence, anger finds no place to land. In silence, fear finds no corner to hide. In silence, greed finds no room to grow. The strong person knows this. They walk toward silence because silence cleans their heart and strengthens their spine. Have you noticed how a strong person can be surrounded by noise and still remain still inside? This is their gift. This is their strength. The world can crash like a storm, and yet, deep within, silence rests like the stillness of a mountain lake. The strong person lives in that silence, even when the world tries to pull them away. In silence, the strong person finds trust. Trust in themselves. Trust in life. Trust in others. The strong person knows that words can lie, but silence cannot. Silence is always honest. Silence shows things as they are. The strong person chooses silence as a guide. Have you felt the warmth of silence? Not the silence that feels cold and lonely, but the silence that feels like a soft blanket wrapped around your heart. The strong person knows this silence. They carry it within, like a flame that can never be extinguished. So, remember this. The strongest people walk with silence because silence is a teacher, a healer, a guide. Silence is a strength that no noise can break. Silence is the space where a strong person finds their center. In silence, the strong person finds themselves. In silence, they find the world. In silence, they find peace. Walk with silence, my dear one. Let wash over you. Let teach you. Let make you strong. Let make you wise. Let make you kind. Let make you whole. This is why the strongest people prefer to be alone sometimes. Not because they hate the world, but because in silence, they can love the world better. In silence, they can understand themselves better. In silence, they can give more to the world. Remember, silence is not an end. It is a path. It is a bridge. It is a home. The strong person knows this. And this is why the strong person embraces silence, like a dear old friend. Not to hide from life, but to walk more deeply into it. Not to run from others, but to be more present for them. Not to run from themselves, but to truly find themselves. Walk this path, dear one. The path of silence. The path of strength. The path of wisdom. It is open for you. It is waiting for you. All you have to do is step into it, listen, and grow strong. This is the wisdom of silence. This is the gift that the strong person knows. This is the secret that the strong person lives. Let it guide you. Let it teach you. Let it make you strong. The world is noisy, but your heart can be quiet. The world is rushing, but your mind can be still. The world is full of words, but your silence can hold its own truth. Be like the strong one. Be like the wise one. Be like the one who knows the power of silence. In silence, you will find your strength. In silence, you will find yourself. In silence, you will find life. Walk this path, dear one, and you too will understand why the strongest people prefer to be alone sometimes. Not to run from the world, but to stand more fully in it. Not to hide from life, but to understand it deeply. Not to be afraid of silence, but to make silence your greatest teacher and your truest companion. This is the wisdom of silence. This is the strength of silence. This is the way of silence. Have you ever wondered what it feels like when a strong person finds peace? What does it mean to walk the path of aloneness all the way to the end? Let us walk together, slowly, quietly, like friends, as we understand this final lesson. The Zen master sits by a quiet pond. The water is still. The wind is soft. The trees stand tall and strong. In this moment, the master speaks. He speaks slowly, not to teach with force, but to share with love. He says, the strongest person is the one who has learned to walk alone when the world felt too noisy. The strongest person is the one who has learned to accept themselves, just as they are. The strongest person is the one who no longer needs to prove anything to anyone. This person has found their true home within their own heart. Why do the strong walk alone? It is not because they hate others. It is not because they have no friends. It is because they have learned that every person must find their own path. They have learned that silence can teach more than 1,000 words. They have learned that when you stand quietly with yourself, the world reveals its secrets. Imagine a tall mountain. The wind can be strong at the top, and only those who have strength can stand there. But it is not the strength of muscles. It is the strength of understanding. The person who walks the path of aloneness finds this strength. It is a strength that no one can take away. It is a strength that shines from the inside out.